In postmodern times, from a distance white society appears as if corporations and institutions are their sworn enemies. But all throughout the past and even today they have supported these systems that inherently penalizes black Americans. It is not until they experience a taste of their own wrath do they realize how destructive their systems really are to humanity. They have successfully created their own enemies, time and time again. The medical CEO who is responsible for their perceived oppression is yet another creation of white supremacy. The truth is they will continuously fight each other while scapegoating black society for all their problems. This attitude of victim mentality have long existed in their culture. That's the source they use to diagnose other people, and that same source of victimhood is also weaponized. Like they weaponized everything else on this planet.
Breaking news, the alleged CEO killer, Luigi Mangione, denied bail, as many people are sympathizing with him online tonight. The book Delay, Deny, Defend, which is about the health insurance industry's tactics, jumping to number 2 on Amazon's nonfiction bestsellers list. Number 2. Safe to say that book would never have been anywhere near number 2 if it were not for Luigi Mangione. Those 3 words, delay, deny, defend, were almost identical to the ones found on shell casings near the crime scene. And on Yelp, the McDonald's where he was apprehended has been hit with a flood of 1-star reviews, calling the employees, quote, snitches and rats.
What am I going to do? I'm going to stop eating at McDonald's.
It got so bad, Google had to remove reviews after that location was flooded with negative comments. Someone hung a banner above I-83 with the words deny, defend, oppose, healthcare for all, a reference to bullet casings left at the crime scene.
And concluded, which was the general consensus at the time among a lot of white people in the South, this is again in the 1890s, that black people were genetically inferior. And in 1896, he published a book called Race, Tendencies, and Traits of the American Negro, in which he lays out all the numbers, and then he concludes that if we simply avoided allowing black people to have any access to health care, that within 2 or 3 generations, the whole race would die out, and that would solve the race problem in America. Now, it sounds kind of crazy when I just lay it out like that right now, but this led to a whole bunch of things. By the 1920s, this was referred to as scientific racism. He was testifying about it before Congress. When Teddy Roosevelt, 1912, proposed a national health care system, people said no because black people will get it. When Franklin Roosevelt proposed a national health care system, it was the same thing. We don't want black people to get it. When Truman tried it in 47, same thing. Don't want black people to get it. Right up until 1965, Senator Stennis, the Dixiecrats in the South, was quoting Hoffman, who was by then dead, but is still very famous in this field, as saying this, we have to figure out a way to keep black people from using Medicare. This is when they were passing Medicare. And the way that they came up with was to have a 20% hole, a gap in Medicare, so that you had to pay 20% of your doctor's bill and your hospital bill. And that would discourage poor black people from showing up at the hospitals. I mean, it was the most shocking thing I discovered, Cenk, when I was doing the research on this book, is that nearly 100% of the reason why the United States is the only country in the world that doesn't define healthcare as a right and doesn't have any sort of national healthcare system to speak of is because of racism.